Okay, testing the sound. If we've got that, we're good. You got sound? Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Yes? Yes. Okay. Got the robot going too. Yay. Hello and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AWOL, and we're still on the big project, but we have been making massive progress over here, which is pretty good. I kind of warned you guys before, though, that this week was going to be a little bit, well, less productive. My wife's birthday came up and we spent a couple nights out. And yeah, so to give you an idea where we are, whoops, wrong picture. This is what we were last week. I am up in the left area above, like, see where the different tier is. I thought I had picture. No, there should be a picture where I have a circle around it, but apparently I messed this up. So, anyways, that was this was going to be so clever of me. I was really pleased with myself. But see how there's two tiers, the bottom area and then the upper one? We are just to the left of that. So needless to say, I'm pretty excited because we are getting towards the end of this. I also want to remind everybody that we have a secret word game in where Minutecraft has graciously contributed a bracelet, and then I've got the other bracelet. Mine's the lower one, by the way. Um, by just figuring out what the secret word is. So basically, chat and you stand a chance to win. Um, but yeah, I managed to still get the difficult row up here at the top done, which was kind of important for me because um, it really it really is super hard. I also was able to complete these three rows over here. So um, in that next segmented area or whatever, there's kind of considerably more than I had imagined getting done accomplished. So that's pretty cool. And before I go too much further, I want to just say hello to everybody. I'm so happy you guys made it. I messed up and didn't put in. Normally I have like a week in advance. I put in when the live stream is going to be, and somehow managed to not do this the right way last time. So the fact that you guys all popped in, thank you very much. Um, so like I said, we were gone for a little bit. Um, Only made possible by the fact that our helper is so good with Dad. Um, he's he's just a mess. He really is. It's pretty sad. Um, it seems lately here he just kind of not in touch with things. He wants to go stand at the front window. He's nearly blind, but he goes and stands at the front window and just kind of gazes off. We have no idea what is going on in his head. If you asked him, he probably wouldn't be able to answer it either. So it's just it's unfortunate to see, your elders go down this kind of path. So, well, it is what it is. So let's see who is here so far. We have Winter is here. Hello, Winter. And Amaris is here. Hello, Amaris. Is that it? The rest is just me and okay. Well, it says there's four people, so a couple of quiet ones out there, I take it. That's okay. You don't have to talk. Well, you don't have to, but if you want to win the secret word game, best way of doing that is probably to do lots of commenting. Anyway, oh, I should have gotten some string when I get to the end of this um, thing here, when I get to the ends, I'm going to have to add the light blue, which I did not actually stock up on before starting the video. Go figure. Hey, Amanda. Amanda was our winner last time, right? Amanda, so any, did you get your stuff in the mail yet? I'm dying to know because I too am expecting stuff from England. Right on. Yeah, I have no idea how long it takes to get stuff from that part of the world. So, especially with all the new um, flights being rerouted to stay out of the war zones and stuff. So it's got to be a little troublesome. Well, Winter, you actually made it a permanent thing. It's like a proper real thing now. I'm busy watching the comments here. Sorry if I'm not replying enough. I'm not sure what's going on with the lighting. Why do I look? Don't I look kind of ghostly, or is it not? Is it just my screen up here? Do I look weird? Why? It's so strange. Right. Okay. When you said that you actually changed it, I was thinking like, wow, that seemed really quick to have done it. So yeah, I wasn't sure. Yeah, I agree with Amanda. It is more important that how you feel about it. It doesn't matter what other people think or whatever. So that's cool. Hey, it's hey smart girl. Well, hey smart girl. Wow, glad you made it. Especially cool if you made it and had good questions and stuff. Because always looking for people who have questions about this stuff because I recently discovered that a lot of my tutorials where I thought I was pretty awesome, turns out people didn't quite get the same ideas as to what I was trying to do. So yeah. Like for example, I did a number of smaller bags, like really small ones, like just be able to hold your identity card or driver's license, that kind of thing, and a bit of money. And the whole point of those was I was able to do different styles quickly, um, That way, there would be a video each week or whatever. But the same principles of making a bigger bag was actually in, well, as far as I was concerned, I was implying that if you wanted to go bigger, it's the same principles, just have to change up how much string you use or how many loops you add or that kind of thing. And apparently nobody actually got that part of it because, um, yeah, I don't know. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna have to add a couple blue strings here. I like the username, Hey Smart Girl. That's just cute. So anyway, yeah. So it looks like I'm going to be going back over a bunch of videos here in the future, redoing some of the different things, trying to open up the possibility of kinda showing how a simple idea can be expanded upon and how a simple design, something that, maybe you're rarely comfortable with, can be turned into something much bigger and, you know, it doesn't all have to be like this one. Mind you, this pattern here breaks down into 6 smaller patterns essentially, and then it's just repeated 9 times over. That's how I actually came up with its size, was just based on that. Well, I say that, but it was also partially trying to get it to be um, about 4.5 foot wide. So that was kind of a target thing I had. Hang on, let me grab some. Okay, despite having tons of string cut up earlier this week, apparently I neglected to cut up the light blue, so bear with me a second. I am. So this part is what I consider stretching the string, which is essentially just try to unravel it so I can get to the two ends. And once I have the two ends, I can then run the strings through my fingers like this, and I can find the middle. So I got the middle, put it up on a hook, and kind of easily kind of loop it around so I end up like this. So like this is the one end, and then there's these two bits come down, and this is a loop. And if I cut it right there, I end up with 3 equal lengths of embroidery floss, which is perfect because a third of a skein is quite long and just long enough for what I'm doing. So in case you're wondering, that's how I do it. Right. Okay. And you say that, I look over and see Mandy. She's actually wearing one of those, the loops, or the whatever, hair ties. I'll have to, I'll have to have my research department get on that. We really do need to get a Mandy cam. She's shaking her head no, but I think it would work out awesome. I did actually find my old camera, well, actually Mandy's old camera, and tried to get it plugged in and tried to use it, but apparently it's so old that it's not supported by Windows any longer, so I was unable to get that working. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. So I'm going to add string on this side. Oh, before I get too far, hang on. Got that handle. Huh. Have to use a pencil. +1. Okay, so we are at 842 skeins. I just realized I had to write down the +1 for the one I just cut. Otherwise, that count would be no good anymore. But yeah. uh, so an eye roll counter, would that be a fit or yeah, fit bit? There goes the eyes again. Like having a fit? Yeah. Nice. There you go. Now I'm thinking how can I make it kind of techy and make it so that way it pops up on the screen every time. Ah. So anyways, yeah, the hope is I finish this little area here tonight, um, that this area up here, and then tomorrow begins the lower part of this, and after that, after I get the lower area, take it off the easel again and get the photos. The reality is it's becoming so difficult to actually put it on the easel. I'm kind of hoping that the next time it won't be quite as bad because there's not that much more on the left hand side, like over here, over there. Um, So the hope is it just gets um, a little bit more manageable or whatever. But there's so much fabric on the right that it really, yeah, it's really something. Well, she's actually close enough. She could actually like say things and be heard on the, like the microphone would pick it up. She just is quiet and shoots me a look that's just like daggers. Um, well, were staying literally just a couple blocks away from where the crazy man with his chopper was. Mandy was actually taking a nap while that insanity was going on. I was personally busy trying to see if I could come up with a cool way of being able to carry a pen with me everywhere I go. So I was kind of playing with a template thing. See what else was there? Got a little bit of time in the swimming pool, which kind of helped to make it so that way I was a little. Why does the light seem so bizarre? Yeah. Why do I? Is it? It's seriously on my screen up here. It looks like I'm all kind of ghostly or something, and I have no idea why. The Yeah, I got a nice suntan while we were out. I have no idea what the. Yeah, okay, so everybody else would not understand the reference of chopper. It's the rest of the world would call that a meat cleaver. I don't know why it's only referred to as a chopper here, but yeah, it was pretty messed up. We were really surprised by the news. Still feel like the lighting is just really weird. I don't get it. Wow. Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that as well as the fact, did the police catch the guy with the hammer? Did they nail him? Ding, 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 ding. I roll. Oh, I spent some time in Southern California actually. Back in '86, I was in the Navy and spent a lot of my time at Mission Beach and Ocean Beach. Good times. Except for the military part, that wasn't really great. The beach was nice. Oh, so you were to the north of where I was. We could see back then. LA was actually visible from San Diego. You just looked for the big dark cloud. Yeah, I certainly think like the level of crazy that's been going on over here has got a lot to do with the fact that we've basically been in a sort of lockdown state for most of this whole pandemic, and people have gotten a little bit squirrely. But yeah, wow. Yeah, you never can tell with some people, man. But it's good that they caught him. Like I am originally from the U.S. and our police department wasn't exactly known for getting their man. So yeah, go figure. One of those, one of them things that you kind of just expect that they're just gonna get away with it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, cabin fever, exactly. But they also, your guys is part. We're like right at the equator here, so the amount of sunlight every day is, um, well, the difference between the longest day and the shortest day is less than a half hour here. So, different parts of America and stuff, as well as Canada, have what they call SAD, the seasonal affective disorder, or something like that. It's essentially the lack of sunlight and stuff, which also makes people get kind of whatever. It's like an added part of it. Yeah, and it wasn't even like a good katana. Like you can't even call it that. It just had like a metal stick because as soon as he hit the car with it, it like bent. He was smacking on the pavement trying to straighten it. Well, so I'm originally from Detroit, and we had stories like where a woman came home and her front door was obviously broken into. So she called the police, and after a half hour of them not showing up, she called the news agency because she was too afraid to go in her house, thinking that what if the guys are still in there? The news people came out, which took them another good 20 minutes or whatever. They come out, they checked the house for them, and it was 3 hours after it was reported that the police finally had shown up at the house and pretty much, had the attitude like, well, there's nothing we can do about that, you know. So yeah, Oh, I didn't turn the music on. I knew I was forgetting something. But yeah, it's it's unfortunate when, you know, you pay your taxes and you do the stuff and the the things that are supposed to be there to help you just aren't like it's supposed to be. I definitely feel you on that. It's what amazes me about Singapore is, you know, the values here are so different. School teachers are paid a decent wage, you know, so that, you know, teachers are happy to deal with the students and to go to work and stuff, and you have a better uh, quality of teachers, you know. Um, and then you have a strong police force, and it's amazing. Um, no, it's really not what the problem is. It's so over here we have like government owned land and stuff, right? We have land that is, you know, saved and protected for like future whatever. Over there, pretty much anybody that wants to just do whatever does whatever. Um, Granted, some areas are not zoned to be able to have like heavy industrial or whatever else, so there's things for that. But um, there is a bit of a thing with sprawl and suburbs getting out of hand and things of that nature, which kind of deplete some of the resources. But then you have like cases where the government kind of like if you can have two cities side by side and um, one of them has better, you know, whatever, it's considered a better neighborhood, so the people there, their house, their properties are worth more, and because their properties are worth more, they pay more in taxes, so they have a better police force, they have better schools, they have better everything. The other neighborhood, you know, considered a bad neighborhood, um have a lot less have a lot less coming in taxes. They have people who are poor and need stuff, and there's no resources for it. It's like, yeah. And like Smart Girls in LA, like that's a huge population. It's sprawled out, but it's a huge population. And the resources don't really go towards making it a better place. Like I don't know where it all goes south, but it just does. And um, it's unfortunate because, you know, there's a lot of good people there who, you know, get up and go to work and do their thing every day and have to worry about people with hammers or, you know, whatever, gangs and all kinds of stuff. It's really unfortunate. And you have people like here in Singapore, like if you're up to mischief or whatever, the police can arrest you and convict you and have it done in a timely manner. Over there, it seems like the police can't even catch kids with guns. How that's possible, I don't know, but it is a thing. Yeah, and the low income housing, right? Like they pay less in taxes. And so they don't get as good of a school, right? And if you don't get as good a school, then you're not going to have the education to get yourself up out of those neighborhoods. It's perpetual. It's a I've often said it's a trap. And I kind of stand by this. It's a trap in the sense that um if your family falls, you know, for whatever reason, like where I grew up, right? I was like um 18 or so. I met a family who times were getting a little tight and they had they were having a hard time managing their budget, and the thing that they fell short on was their house insurance. And the wife had left a curling iron plugged in, and the house caught fire, and they were pretty much left with their vehicle and the clothes they had on their back. Everything else was consumed by the fire. As a result, obviously, it was just a short matter of time before they lost their jobs, because they didn't have a place, to go home to bathe or whatever else. They had to live out of their car. The amount of assistance available back then was better than it is today, but even then, it still left them in a community where there was, poor neighborhood essentially. And then the government's assistance wasn't enough to pay for car insurance and that kind of stuff, so they lost their car. It's once at that lowest level, there's very little to help bring you back out of it. Right. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen the movies about the gangs in LA and stuff, and I get it, but it's so weird. Like here in Singapore, there are absolute laws. If you're found to be, participating in gang-like activity or whatever, you will be arrested. And yeah, they don't play around with that at all. Even to the point of making guys who have gang-related tattoos having to cover up total blackout over that stuff. They don't play. Singapore is super, super strict. And a lot of people say that it's like a nanny state or whatever. The government, makes all the rules and you have to obey. But as a direct result, we have very little crime here, which is amazing. It's especially for the population density, there's very little crime going on over here. So it's for that reason, well, one of many reasons, that, I don't think I'll ever want to live anywhere else again. And sadly, there's been 3 recent cases of violence breaking out here that's got locals oh, maybe that Singapore isn't as great as it used to be. But in my mind, it's 3 incidences in a pretty spread out, duration or whatever. It still seems way safer than anywhere else I've ever been. Anyway, this is pretty cool. We're almost done with the first row over here. The first of 3 that I'm hoping to accomplish. So wait, if you're in LA, smart girl, what time is it there? This must be a ridiculous hour. Amanda, you're absolutely right. Singaporeans don't realize what it's like in the other parts of the world, because it's what we see of America here is much like a Facebook thing. I just used this example while we were at the hotel trying to tell this guy who seemed to think that America is all awesome. All you see are the good things. Nobody posts, when they had an average breakfast You know, it's the omelets and the nice stuff that, you know, people actually post, right? So people get this idea that America is just this wonderful place that they've seen in the movies, and that's not true. Yeah, COVID really did a number. 7 a.m. Wow. Wow. I was somehow, I don't know why, I was thinking it would be way earlier than that, but okay, cool. And yeah, I want to hear about Korea as well. That sounds way cool. Cool. I wonder if the difference between stumbling upon my live stream this time versus the other ones is the fact that I actually forgot to schedule this one. And so the notifications probably all popped up when I went ahead and just scheduled it probably about 10 minutes before it started. Wow. That's way cool. A year in South Korea. That's way cool. Hey, John. Wow. It is moving along. It's awesome. No longer on Instagram. Oh no. John, that's really unfortunate. Well, I'm glad that you can remember when it starts winter, because yeah, I get excited. I have to be honest. I get kind of excited. A lot of my daytime of Saturdays is like, ooh, how much longer before I start? And I actually probably get things going, like the cameras set up and whatever, probably by like 9 p.m. or whatever. But I would start earlier, except for the fact that I like to be available in case Dad gets weird, which we have cameras in the house, and I just noticed he's playing around with the fans and stuff. I don't know what he's... Yeah. Ah. Well, smart girl, I hope you feel better. I'm glad you made it here. That's way cool. As far as winter, you're right. Instagram is getting worse. So, a large number of people all left the Facebook and Instagram and stuff because they were unhappy with the way Donald Trump got treated. So there was a mass exodus. And so in order to try to stay being relevant, the two, or well, Meta, let's, you know, because that's the umbrella name for all of that. Meta has been trying to even like pester me, because my Instagram is a business account, and telling me that every time I post that I should be posting products and trying to use the platform to sell things, which that's not what people go to those platforms for. If Instagram becomes a never-ending commercial, nobody's going to go there. But as far as, you know, the people at the top, they think that that's the solution, like that's what's going to make them relevant or whatever, and it doesn't make any sense to me. Like they're actually making it less likely that that people are going to want to be there. So if they only concentrate on the business accounts and try to push us into a never-ending series of ads, yeah, then Facebook and Instagram are really going to be going south in a bad kind of way. And it's unfortunate because it started out pretty cool. I love the notion of being able to catch up with old friends or things like that. Heck, Facebook is how I met my wife. Well, as far as getting more hacks happening, that's not necessarily on Facebook's part. The fact that people aren't smart enough to use good passwords, that can't be, you know, that can't be Facebook's fault. So yeah, there's more incentive for hackers to be more diligent in trying to get past all that. Hang on, I gotta grab an orange. Yeah, I've had a number of emails trying to fish for information and that kind of thing. And yeah, you have to be diligent about this stuff. You have to, protect yourself. Don't fall for the traps. Hey, once upon a time back in, I don't know, early 90s, having the password seemed for some odd reason acceptable. I don't know. Yeah, but so the people who are getting hacked, who have all of the clever whatevers, they have the two-step yeah, are also still getting hacked because they're participating in things where they're like, if you're ever on Facebook and it's like, ask something like, what was the name of your first pet? Don't ever answer that. Those are the kind of questions that are typically used when it comes to finding out what your password was. And that's how they're getting it. That's how they find that stuff. So, smart girl, are you a bracelet maker yourself, or just somebody who admires the process? Wow. Just your name and soch. Yeah, your social security is tied to a lot of stuff. So yeah, it is a pretty big one. Which I can't figure out how, let's see, how a 9-digit numbering system can apply to as many people as what's in America. Just doesn't make sense. I don't get it. Yeah, I don't know if you can get your social changed. To be honest, even if you were hacked, I don't think you can. Well, that's way cool. It's good to know that I've got beginners actually watching stuff and learning. That's awesome. I was a recent observation, I think it was Amanda had pointed out that it seems that my channel typically attracts the people who've been doing it for a lot longer, but I kind of want to be able to be inspiration for not just the ones that have been doing it a long time, but for the new people as well. So good to hear. If you come up with questions and stuff, holler. It's the new users and stuff that typically ask the kind of questions that make me realize that I'm not explaining things as well as perhaps I should. And obviously I have a great fan base because look at everybody's like super nice. Oh, and I should mention before we go too much further, I have to thank all my Patreon supporters. These are the people who really help keep the channel going and help me with the purchase of embroidery floss. Because like this whole project here is what, 842 skeins of floss into this one project. So yeah, yeah, it's the Patreon people that make this all possible. Yeah, because there was that one dude with the company that was supposed to be like, we protect your social security so much that da da da, I can put my name up on a billboard and nobody can get me. And then of course he immediately gets hacked. Like, like holy crap. Only in America. So yeah, Amanda, the Social Security is kind of like the CPF here. It's sort of a system for like retirement. At least that's what it's meant to be. It can also be if you're like mentally or physically challenged, Social Security is shells out some money each month to help you keep a roof over your head. And you know, it's kind of like a minimal amount, but it's still something. But yeah, it's a pretty important thing. It's perhaps more important than like say your driver's license number or any of the other stuff. But if you have a name and a Social Security, yeah, you can get, you know, apply for credit in that name and stuff, things like that. It's just pretty slippery slope. So yeah, smart girl, we're only a couple weeks away. Well, I say a couple weeks. We're not far away from getting back to actually doing some smaller, more beginner stuff. And the way I kind of see it in my head as to what some of the videos and things that'll be coming out is I'm gonna take some easy patterns and then I'm gonna ramp them up pretty quickly. So it's gonna start out with showing you something that's so easy it's almost, you know, I could probably do it after having several stiff drinks. But then it's gonna ramp up to being something bigger and more beautiful. So it's gonna have a lot of fun plans coming up. Yeah, I was trying to explain that too. So the ex-military thing is got a lot to do with there's two different computer systems, which apparently is much like an Xbox and PlayStation as far as compatibility goes. They just aren't compatible. One for when you sign up to be in the military, and then one for the retirement. So let's say after you've been in battle and now you're in need of help, it can take a couple of years before you're actually added to that system. And why they haven't fixed it to all be off of one system is America. It's, you know, it's saving them money by not giving those people help right away. It's just an unfortunate thing, and nobody's in a hurry to fix it. And personally, as far as I'm concerned, just stop using one of the computer systems and migrate everybody over to the other. You know, that it seems easy enough. At least start at some point to all use one system. But they don't. They haven't. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so I have a friend, Adrian O, who's here in Singapore, who was a longboard skateboarder type that went through America, and he saw more people in a bad way in America than anywhere else. He started off in Canada and went to the farthest point in South America, all on his skateboard. And he said that he saw more people living, you know, under bridges and in horrible conditions in America than anywhere else. So when America says, you know, how awesome they are, yeah, they're mistaken. It's unfortunate. It just is. Yeah, Winter, I lived a life with having ADHD and manic depression, and yeah, I couldn't get help because I couldn't afford the insurance, you know, when I was in the US. So yeah, I feel you on that one. That's yeah. So that VA waiting list that you're talking about right there, that is the computer system. That's the one I was talking about. Like, in order to be in the VA or whatever, you have to wait till you get actually in that computer system, which takes a year or more. You know, they had no problem putting you into the computer when you're joining the service, but when you're dismissed from the service, then suddenly it's, you know, takes such a long time. Makes no sense. It doesn't at all. But America is just not very efficient, period. It doesn't, you know, and that's why I always like to tell people over here that, Singapore seems to be really capable of, sending out messages to let you know that your passport's going to expire, and that gives you ample amount of time to go down there and get it renewed before it does. And just, being able to even just do it over the internet. Months? I don't know. Does it seem like a while? Yeah, in America, to get your passport, you have to go to the post office, and then I can't remember how long it took, but it seems to me like it took a couple months, at least. Wow. Wow. Smart girl. That's unfortunate. People who want to make a difference, who want to work for us, help the people who need it, get turned away or turned off the system because of how bad it is. That just says a lot. Yeah, I was just gonna say Singapore actually gave everybody notice that it's taking longer to get the passports here, because suddenly, now that the border is opening up with Malaysia, everybody who had put off getting a passport because what's the point, you couldn't go anywhere, is now like, woohoo! And yeah. Yeah, I've taken my wife's picture down on the void deck of our flat because it was a nice off-white background, and yeah, that was, yeah. Right. Yeah, you're right. That's yeah. It's so weird how vastly different all of our countries are. Well, nothing I have to worry about here. Hair color, NA. Yeah, I've never seen as many people with like dyed hair than I have here in Singapore. So yeah. Oh, right. That's kind of recent though, right, smart girl? That's one of those things that, yeah, I think that came out after I left America. Right. But wasn't there like some big major changes or something, like the Republicans wanted something to do with um your IDs to make sure that for voting reasons or whatever that something happened that made it so that way it's even harder now to do stuff with your identifications. I remember there was something about that that just blew my mind. Well, supposedly in America, you have to have your ID on you at all times. Supposedly, not that everybody does, but if you don't, um, it does give the police officers an added ability to hold you there against your will, and you know, gives them more whatever to be able to mess with you. So it's just easier to have an identification card of some kind on you. Um, by right, I technically have to have an ID on me while I'm here. That's part of the whole, being allowed to stay here thing. But yeah, right. Yeah, and unfortunately for me, like because the my IC over here has to include my middle name, and Singaporeans don't know what to make of that. Like they they assume that like my middle name is like the last name, or yeah, I don't know, whatever, something. They just, the whole thing just goes to hell. Drives me insane. The only time I ever heard my middle name was when my mom was incredibly upset with me. If she called me by all three names, whoo, boy, was I in trouble. But yeah, over here it's just like a substitute. Like, oh, that's easier. We'll just go with that. So, Winter, what is the middle name? And don't tell me it's Snow. Nightmare is the middle name? I'm thinking Winter, Snow, Nightmare. Well, I would have thought that there'd be middle names for you because your last name is so popular that there's got to be at least other Mandys out there. How to better differentiate between. Hmm, right. Yeah, I used to do that. My driver's license didn't include my middle name at all. I totally did that. And that also made it so that way my signature didn't require my middle name. Because a lot of places, like let's say if you're going to sign into a hotel, they would want you to sign with whatever was actually on your driver's license. And since my driver's license did not include my middle name, had my middle initial, um, that's the way I could sign it. But because I came over here to Singapore and they had to use the passport, and the passport requires the full name, that full name ended up on my identification card. And yeah, it kind of bums me out because I could really do without it. Wow. Smart cookie. I, I'm picturing people where their driver's license now has two rows for the names. Like, holy cow, I can't imagine. Hey, Charity made it. Hello, Charity. Wow. Yeah. Right. Well, do Korean people have middle names typically? I'm gonna guess no, just based on the whole Asian thing. Oh, oh, that's kind of fun.
And to be the whole generation of siblings would have the same character.
Really, that's neat. So instead of just being son of Dietrich, there would be a middle name that just basically did that for you.
No, not so much, but each generation has its own
That's what I'm saying.
character.
Like, so all of Dietrich's children, me, Karen, Marlena, and Kim, would have all had the same middle name. That would have been the semblance to being tied to Dietrich.
Yes.
That's cool. I love these like cultural exchanges we're having here. This is kind of neat. A lot better than talking about food and getting me all hungry and worked up when I can't eat. saw the Hansu and Minsu, and I saw Minsu is like, okay, so that's the minimal one, the smaller of the two. Well, Winter, those are not French, so don't let people fool you. So wait, so that was, so you're not getting a middle name was more of breaking the mold? Did your sisters have middle names?
Oh,
No.
Dad forgot to, they forgot to decide on name.
Oh,
Like he ran off and forgot Sandra registered.
nice.
And I came home and I, what's a Chinese name?
Oh, that's pretty cool, Charity. How's your bracelet making coming? Wow, 14 pieces. Good for you. Well, that reminds me, seeing as how we have a few more people in here, I should remind everybody, secret word game. Oh, it's a new one. We have a new word picked, and yeah. You say the magic word, just randomly say the thing in chat, and the bot will pop up letting you know that you've won. Oh, that's funny. They would automatically assume adopted. Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah. I gotta fix the thing for the 8-ball. Oh, you did actually come out with an answer, yeah. Wouldn't it wouldn't it be messed up if you asked it and then the robot gave the word and then it said that to the robot that it won? Then I have to send a bracelet to the robot. Like, we don't want that. The robot figures out that it can't actually wear the bracelet, and then, we gotta end up with the whole Skynet thing. It'd all be my fault. Yeah, actually, I do know the bot's address. The bot is the same as the clothing thing. So if you want the "Don't Get Your Strings in a Bunch" shirt, yeah, that comes from the same place as Mr. Bot there. let's see. The first one we did with the secret word was what? Oh, Rapunzel. The first one was Rapunzel, and we had the big headache of everybody having trouble with the spelling and stuff. The second one was caffeinated, which is, well, had to do with a video called Highly Caffeinated, which was what kind of led up to this complex pattern. And then the last one we had was Pink, which is from one of my very first videos I'd ever created, where I was basically doing stop motion photography with some ragtag pieces I picked up at a Home Depot. And the thing has something like 165,000 views, something ridiculous, which should have been a sign for me back then to start doing the tutorials, but for whatever reason I never even looked at the numbers. I didn't care. I had a lot of requests for tutorials back then, and I just never caught on. Go figure. Oh, so to ask the Mr. Bot anything, to get him to do the little question things, it's the command, wait, where's everybody where they do it? It's 8 minus sign ball, I think. Is it an exclamation before it? Exclamation 8 ball, and then it will answer. It's supposed to be like that silly thing, you know, you turn it around. Magic 8 ball. Well, yeah, whatever. Yeah. No, not claymation. It was I would do a knot, get my hands out of the way, take a shot, do a knot to take a shot. So it's stop motion is different from time lapse. Time lapse, it takes it every 3 seconds or 2 seconds or however long you put. But stop motion, you control when you take the shot. So I was very deliberate in making sure that my hands weren't in the frame ever. So yeah, I was really pleased with myself for that. Speaking of caffeinated, here it is, 11:30 at night, and I'm still drinking a soda, trying to give myself enough energy to get through all this. All right, let's see. It's pretty long. Not sure. We've gotten deliveries way past 8 o'clock and ringing doorbells, so go figure. All right, what is the next one? It's this thing there. All right, I need 2 oranges. No, that's not the secret words yet. I like that you're trying though, smart girl. So yeah, basically every time we've done the secret word, it's got something to do with, you know, the videos or me personally and stuff, and that's kind of the trend that I want to kind of keep with it. If it's about, you know, learning who I am and or the, you know, about the channel itself in general. So um kind of makes it fun, makes it easier. Like I said, so like the first one was Rapunzel. Like, why Rapunzel? Well, because the first bag I ever made, screwing around trying to make my wife smile, I put the thing on my head like a crown, and it had all the string hanging down like really super long hair. And I joked saying that was, you know, Rapunzel or whatever. And so if you actually go on my website, akaawol.com, and you go into my either into the shop area or my portfolio area, or not, is it portfolio? Yeah. You go in there and you want to see the bags I made, it's Rapunzel. That's, and to make it so that way I'd have something to talk about it, you know, I made it part of the contest, because kind of helps lead people to understanding why they can't find a tab that says bags. Well, that's why. It's because it's under Rapunzel. And I know it doesn't make much sense, but I don't know. I mean, I kind of originally made the website more for me, and then it turned into something completely different and has all kinds of the tutorials, and it has the graph paper. Something kind of cool here. I actually printed out my own graph paper, kind of enlarged it and colored it in, and I'm playing around with an idea of doing something like this. So that's another video for, you know, when we get past this whole thing. It should be like the portfolio area has like easy tabs and whatever, and there's, I don't know, the shop, there's just so many bracelets. So yeah, we're, and yeah, I need to go back and start doing some more videos about using the graph paper and how to design patterns and stuff, because I'm really a huge advocate about that. I really think that when you design your own bracelet, that part of like why you kind of put the zigs and the zags where you did will help you to understand other bracelets that you see. Once you do it on your own, and you're like, oh, so like if we looked at, oh, good example. If you look at the bracelet that was done by the Minute Craft, you can see that basically it started out with where the white is making big overlapping diamonds, and then they broke up what was going on inside of it with the little green squares, making the overlapping diamonds stay always on the top, and the other squares being a part of the thing. And once you start to see like how the shapes and where the other colors come into the play, you can pretty much figure out what the designer was going for in the makeup of it. So yeah. Smart girl, you just made my day. I am so happy to hear that you're watching that many of my videos. That's cool. That's way cool. Well, I've been doing bracelets since 1987. Oh my God. Makes me feel forever old. And I basically, all I knew how to do was a candy stripe. And then basically had the epiphany that made it so that way I was able to tie the knot backwards. And instead of just going to the right, I could then go to the left. And from there, I made a ton of bracelets with just those two knots. And later on was asked if I could help remake a bracelet that somebody had. And of course, being young and cocky and thinking I could do anything, I said yes. And then had the trouble of trying to figure out why they were able to make the zigzags kind of go the way they did. And that's where the last epiphany happened. I discovered that the knot could go like this. This first half is going to the left and the second half goes to the right. And once I figured that part out, oh man, did that open up to everything I've ever made since. Because there's really essentially just those 4 knots. And so yeah, it takes a little practice to get tension and stuff down, and it takes a little imagination to try to work out how a pattern works and how to use like doing like it. Obviously, if you look at how I'm breaking up this whole thing, right, I'm doing a segment at a time, which helps speed things along. It helps make it easy to see where I'm at and what I'm doing, and prevent me from actually making mistakes. The people who only learn from the patterns, who just go down one row after another, this would have been the most horrific thing to ever have worked on. There'd be so many mistakes. So yeah. Right. Well, yeah, so the whole thing about working from the bottom, yeah, I agree. It I know I've said it before, and I'll probably say it many more times. It's a huge disadvantage, and I never cared for the bags that were that way, and that's why I kind of came up with the stuff that I did. And since then, I managed to come up with a lot of other cool stuff for doing it. But yeah, the early thing was I didn't like how the strings that are going to be left were going to be in the part that's the most noticeable. When I make my bags and I tie up all the strings underneath, you really don't see it. It ends up inside and whatever. So that's, yeah, I much prefer that. All right, good night, Charity. I know it's getting late over there, so. And good luck on your many bracelets. That's pretty cool. I'm glad that she got a nice big project like that. Right. Yeah, so the mandala thing looks pretty cool, but you're right. What do you do with the ends, you know? You end up castles, you know? Like how do you do anything with that? I wonder. No, see, I'm a guy who, you know, the most I ever did with a ponytail in my hair was I had a dreadlock that I used to wrap around the back of it or whatever. But I knew some girls who used to do those braids where the braid keeps getting bigger as it goes along. Is there a name for that? where like you start at the top of the hair and then it just you keep adding in more as it goes along. A French braid. I wonder if you couldn't take the mandala and then start at one point and go with a French braid coming around the whole thing, so that way as you're at the one point, then you pick up some more string, you add those in, they become braided, come to the next point, pick up more strings that and come all the way around as a French braid. When you get back to the beginning point, you might need to take a strand to kind of come around like with a needle to go through the first braid, but then you would have your coaster with a nice rounded off edge to it. Well, smart girl, you can always send me pictures via Instagram. Of course, I can't quite look at them while in chat because obvious reasons, but then I can always reply to stuff later on. I've had some of those kind of videos. I did the one, oh my god, there was this one gal, she's such a sweet lady. She was the inspiration for the one where I showed how to do the blocking method, because her bracelet was just kind of tilted funny, and there wasn't really that much wrong with it. It was just a little problem with tension or whatever. And when I told her just to get it wet and to stretch it out, you know, and it went to being nice and straight afterwards, she was so delighted. And I'm like, I need to use your before and after pictures to show out other people, because obviously, you know, other people need to know that this is a thing. You don't need to do straight edge knots. You don't need to do all this other weird stuff that you know, half the internet was talking about. It's actually something that they use in knitting and crocheting, you know. Yeah, that was a fun video. and and I'm sure that I probably lost a bunch of followers right there. You're going against what, you know, and I won't say who the other YouTuber's name was, but I went against one of the other ones, and yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's blocking. Yeah, I think I had seen somebody trying to make a little bag out of the mandala start thing, and was like, well, that's just dumb, because you're gonna end up with all those strings up at the top, and that's just gonna be hideous. And then I had to play around and try to make my own, and yeah, whatever. Oh, and that one of the people who had made it, I saw in the comments that they'd made it, that the bag was basically big enough for her boyfriend to keep his dice for D&D in it. And I'm like, well, that's not even helpful. Like, you can't, if that's as big as the bag is, then what's the point? So yeah, the first bag I made, obviously I used 100 what's 8 times 12? I used like 96 strings, I think. No, it was more than that. Had to be a lot more than that. I can't remember how many strings, but it was ridiculous. Still have that bag. Yeah. Yeah. I try not to actually watch other people's videos because I have a personality that lets me kind of imitate people. And I'm afraid like I would end up with people going, no, you're acting like whoever. And yeah, I don't need it. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I really, my big thing is I want to teach people how to look at a pattern and being able to change it, or being able to um, design their own patterns, or even, let's say, you find a pattern that you really like over on bracelet.net or the other one, whatever it is, and you see it, and you want the particular part to be in the center, like, um, hang on, I got. Okay, so like this bracelet here, it's really nice and symmetrical, and this dot right here is right smack dab in the middle. So I put this shape in the middle, and then you have two of the same, and then you have the diamonds at the end. What I did was I saw this pattern and thought that was pretty cool. Worked out how many knots there are between the top and the bottom, used my graph paper, put this in the middle, saw that there was room for these, saw that there was not room for something else big, so I figured out what there was room for and put it even on both ends. So instead of having a pattern where it starts off with this at the beginning and then only having a partial one at the end, this, to me, this is how I would want it to be. And I want to be able to help teach that kind of how to, that it's not wrong to have it start off at one point and not be symmetrical or not have a center or whatever, but yeah. Right. No, smart girl, you're right. The straight edge thing is not a cure for poor tension. It's just isn't. And I even worked out how I have a candy stripe bracelet tutorial where I have it where it comes out perfectly flat. And it turns out one of the biggest reasons why they kind of curl and get weird is because where the clip is. Like if it's kind of raising up as you get further and further to the right, that will actually have an effect on your knots. And I proved that by turning the whole thing straight, or at an angle, so that way that the line that I'm working on is in line with the clip. And I came up with a candy stripe that was so perfectly flat. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, as much as I'd like to preach about things like that, and that's having it in the centered and stuff, and that's, I do want to say that it's my own personal pet peeve or whatever. I don't want to make it sound like, well, Kevin said you have to have it centered, and turn into some kind of like a horrible thing that, Kevin only does big bags and Kevin only thinks things have to be. It's okay, but doing it, having it come out the way you want it to come out versus how it just is how it is, to me makes more sense. So yeah. It's funny. So technically, by right, this project actually uses the straight edge technique, and that's only because on the edges that itself, there's a black string that runs down and that just gets used for that one line. And what it does is when these things kind of get split, it allows it to be one more row over, so that way you get more of the pattern and you get that center diamond from like this one here, you get the centerpiece here. That's what it allows it to do. It wasn't about trying to keep it any straighter or different like that. It actually gives it one more knot in the pattern and keeps the strings coming in the same order so that way I didn't have to worry about things getting out of whack, you know. Yeah. So Amanda, take a look at go find the video, or message me and I'll find the video for you later. Um, yeah, having them curl it's really super common, but I actually found what reason why it happened. I've been doing this long enough and I'm so analytical. I can't help myself. Um, but I wanted to figure out why it did what it did, and I got real scientific stupid with it and actually learned how to make a candy stripe that doesn't curve. Or maybe my research department can find that one. The really flat candy stripe. Yeah, I'm not sure how huge it was. It was probably like 12 colors, 12 strands, less colors because they repeated. But yeah, 12 strand. Well, yeah, coiling it around a pen will certainly make it curve. But when you have a bracelet on a clip, right, and you're coming down, as you get further down, it starts to sit up a little bit. Yeah, ADHD hyperfocus is perhaps how the majority of my best patterns and stuff came about. It suddenly find myself feeling woozy, going, "Wait, what? I was working so good. Why is this? Oh, I haven't eaten all day." Damn it. Ah. That sounds cool. I don't think it was too terribly long ago.
Yeah,
It's more recent than Boy in a Band, for sure. Yeah. Hyperfocus can be a wonderful gift. It can also be right. It's all fine and good until you start getting like all lightheaded and goofy. And that's funny that somebody else is doing cushions, because that's obviously been talked about here for a while now. Go ahead, find it. I wish John was still with us because he was around. Oh. So it's called Flat Candy Stripe Friendship Bracelets. When was that from? 9 months ago. Holy, 9 months already. Can I share this? Oh, cool. Mandy just found the link to the YouTube video that actually shows how to flatten out a bracelet even if it's candy striped. So that's, and I actually have some ideas too planned for some of the other more geeky, nerdy kind of things that I've learned about bracelets and why certain things kind of happen the way they do. Just because we tie the knots in similar ways, the knots themselves aren't quite the same. And I plan on kind of showing how and why that's a problem and how we kind of can get around it and make it, our bracelets and stuff come out much nicer. Mind you, I don't know about everybody, but I do know that Amanda's bracelets are really like, her knots are so consistent. It's amazing. So Amanda, are you the kind of person that if the knot isn't sitting right, you undo it or do something to try to get it perfect? Well, it's nice that people actually recommend me. That's really cool. I have like playlists that are full of like beginner stuff, and then I have the more intermediate. So for me, beginner is like basically only knowing the first two knots. And then the intermediate is kind of the introduction of the two additional knots and patterns starting to get a little bit more complex. And then advanced, well, advanced just can go crazy. Like, let's face it. Yeah, frogging is way easier with crocheting. was gonna say you could kind of do it with knitting, but then it's the getting it back on the needle. Knitting you can totally frog if you plan on going right back to the very beginning, you know. At least crocheting you can go back a little bit and put the hook back in and go about your business. Knitting not so much. I used to be actually pretty good at knitting, believe it or not. Um, Even had some scarves made where it had the cable stitch going up through the middle stuff. So yeah. Right. Yeah, I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying it's not a preferred thing to have to do. I can picture that. I just don't know if I would know how to do that. To putting another needle into the thing. Yeah. I can picture it. I'm sure my mom probably knew how to do a lot of this stuff. Unfortunately, she passed away when I was kind of young, and I didn't get to learn from all the stuff that she was into. My mom was a seamstress who knitted, crocheted, needlepoint. I grew up with all of the different stuff in the house and was encouraged to have fun with it because there was nothing that really shut me up quite like needlepoint. You know, I could be entertained for hours, days. So yeah. Right. Yeah, for me, knitting is sort of a it was easy because I was around somebody who was doing it. I was watching what they were doing, and then they kind of helped get a little hands-on with me to help show me how to do it. And I don't think it's necessarily one of those things where watching a video would be very helpful. It's best if you got around somebody that knew how to do it and can show it. And unfortunately here, I don't think knitting pays off because what are you going to make? You know, like early on, just my earliest stuff is making scarves. We're not going to wear scarves here. Even if we go up to Genting, it's not cold enough to really need a scarf. So it's, you know, and making a blanket, that's a whole lot of fabric to have sitting on your lap in a hot, humid place like this. So it's yeah. Knit a bag, huh? Faith, I'm Armanda, I'm sure that there's a way of doing it. I'm not sure how. That's I'm now trying to picture how that would work, because I know how to do a cylinder in knitting, because there's like the needles that are connected by a string, but I don't know how you would get the end of the cylinder to close. Interesting. Wait, Winter, you're gonna make socks? That's I've seen some videos and stuff, and even using the sock machine, the thing that, you know, you turn the crank and the little needles do their thing. Even doing that seems nightmarish. Oh. Well, I think the Catholics actually once upon a time used to actually kill left-handed people because it was considered the demon was in them or something. But yeah, you know. Again, I think it really comes down to having somebody with the patience to show you what to do. I don't know how left-handed would vary from the right-handed version. In my mind, I bet you it's still relatively the same thing, because you're essentially taking a needle, going through the loop, wrapping your string around it, and then flipping that over, kind of thing. I mean, it's just a simple act, whether you're going from the right side or the left side. That I don't think there'd be much difference. It's just a matter you have to find somebody that knows how to, and then sit down and help guide you with it, you know, answer the little questions and stuff. Because yeah, my mom was sick, dying from cancer, and she was at home, basically on a hospice type thing. And my brother-in-law's mom or something, some kind of relative had come up, and she was busy knitting, and I was bored out of my mind, and watching her knit like intensively, trying to see what she was doing. And she's like, look, would you like to learn? Because you're driving me insane. I'm like, sure. And she gave me a scrap ball of yarn and some needles and basically got it started for me, showed me what she was doing, and I was off to the races in no time. And then she was like, okay, frogged the whole thing, and then said, here, try this, try doing it knitting and purling. And so then I did that. And then it was just a little scrap bit of yarn I was working with. After that, she gave me a proper ball of yarn and told me to go crazy, make something. So I made a scarf. And it was really that quickly that I managed to pick up the whole thing. So yeah, see, I can't do the crochet thing, and that's got to do with the tension. I like my knots and stuff. They're really, really tight, and for whatever reason, when I try to crochet, or when I have tried to crochet, I got the strings to kind of tighten up after you're supposed to like kind of let it just slide down the thing, and made it so that way I can't get the hook back in. So yeah. Sure that that would necessarily help. I think I was using a size 6, which isn't terribly small in the first place. Or isn't terribly large. But yeah, just could not seem to. Well, smart girl, I'm glad that you decided to work on bracelets, because then you end up over here. Yeah. I don't even remember what I was trying to use. Well, that was kind of brave of you to try doing bracelet work with yarn. One of the problems with yarn can be if you pull too hard, it can get skinny and whatever. So yeah, yarn can be really troublesome. All right, bye Amanda. It's good night. Oh, and smart girl, if you haven't already figured out from some of my other videos, getting string from AliExpress can save you a small fortune. So if you're gonna go and get started on this and experiment and make mistakes and do whatever, at least it can cost you a whole lot less through AliExpress. The shop that I get my string from is actually calls themselves the factory store, So if you go into AliExpress and you just look for embroidery floss, look for the one called the Factory Store. And they have been really, really great. I've had no problem. They're really prompt at filling their orders, and a lot of times I order my string based on projects, so I have it all like very counted out, and what I get from them is exactly what I asked for. So that was pretty cool. Right. Yeah, so some yarns are just really more prone to it, but yeah, there's something about like if you pull on it enough, if you have enough tension on it, it can actually affect um how it ties or whatever, and it can start kind of getting thinner on you. It's pretty messed up. Basically, that's why you don't see using yarn for needle points, or certain yarns at least. Remind you, what does that remind you of, smart girl? Yeah, it's come up in a few videos. I don't necessarily, I don't think I've actually made a video. Well, oh, it's probably in the 8 kg of floss. I probably talked about it. That's probably where it was. There's been a couple of unboxing videos where I just get ridiculous amounts of floss, and that's probably where I talk about it. But that not to say that it isn't mentioned in other places. Once upon a time, I was kind of reluctant on sharing the information because there are so many diehard people who swear by DMC or whatever. But I pretty much, DMC isn't going to sponsor me. I doubt that AliExpress is going to sponsor me either. But I can't, in good faith, send a bunch of kids who don't make a lot of money after string that is more than $1 a piece when I'm getting string at like 17 cents or less. You know, it just doesn't make sense. I feel for the kids that can't afford it, especially if they want to do the bigger projects like what I'm doing. So yeah, it's the more bulk you buy it, the cheaper it gets, and yeah, it makes it kind of cool. Yeah, Winter, you're right. There is tricks to help make cheaper yarns work better and prevent the friction. But yeah. Yeah, you would think that if DMC was giving out whatever for ads, you would think that they would have gotten me for sure. But hey, guys, I just finished this whole area. And, tomorrow I'll have to reposition the work and finish this down to into tassels. So that's pretty much it for tonight. I am pretty well spent, and I think that makes a good spot. So yeah, smart girl. Like I said, just look for the factory store. It's easy enough, or factory shop, factory shop. My wife says. So yeah, you'll be able to find it. It's really good. Before I go though, I do want to thank again all my Patreon supporters. You guys definitely have kept this channel going, even when I was willing to give up. So thank you very much. Oh, winter. Should I change the thing? I'll probably have to do that during this week, I guess. But yeah, I will be back here again next week. I don't know what the date is then, but next Saturday, same time, same place. I hope you guys are here. Hopefully we'll be much closer to being done, and I'll have not made mistakes of not attaching the pictures that I took to the thing. So hopefully I'm a little more organized. Hopefully things are fun, and I will see you guys. I'll see you guys then. And until then, and as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.